Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today the crypto market is still doing very well. I mean, it looks as if we're only up 0.5%, but feeling wise, well, prices have been doing amazing. Bitcoin roughly at $22,000, Ethereum right now at $1,220, XRP still relatively low at about 34 cents. And you can kind of guess where this is going. Things have not changed too much over the last 24 hours, but I guess just over the last week or so, whatever you want to look at, things have been doing pretty well. Now, obviously, it is following the stock market, at least mostly, and we cannot deny that. From another perspective, I actually am completely mesmerized with the amount of action we've seen today. It really blew right past a lot of my expectations. There's some news going around, though, that it's partially due to Coinbase, and there's actually a couple of really big fears in the crypto market as well of thousands upon thousands of Bitcoin being dumped on us. That and more we're going to talk about in this video. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you press that like button on the video, greatly helps me out. And I'm trying to get to 500 likes, so yeah. Let's move on with the story. Data suggests buying on Coinbase behind the Bitcoin pump. Apparently, Bitcoin Coinbase Premium Gap observes sharp rise to positive values. Here we can actually see the Bitcoin Coinbase Premium Gap, and indeed, it's an interesting uptick. So the indicator previously had a red value for many months, but now it seems the metric has once again turned into a positive value. And you can again see on the left here that 0 is the neutral and this is the Coinbase Premium Gap. We've been below that for at least, let's see here, a couple of days as far as we can see, but most likely it's been for a very long time. And all of a sudden we spiked right past and Bitcoin also went on the same trajectory. But what they're basically saying is it could suggest that buying pressure from investors in the US may be behind Bitcoin catching some new upward momentum. Well, we indeed have the highest number in the Fear of Green Index in like 2 months. So there's something to be said about the fact that people are getting more, I guess, ecstatic, more reasonable with it, less fearful. I guess all of those apply. It's going to be interesting to see how people are going to be taking profit in the near term, as right now we have not seen a spike just quite yet, but I have a little bit of news in just a second that might suggest otherwise real soon. And I wanted to quickly take a look at the analytics because when I was thinking about it, I'm like, the pressure we always talk about whenever we read it over here. It says here the percent difference between Coinbase Pro price USD pair and Binance price USDT pair. High premium values could indicate US investors' strong buying pressure in Coinbase. And here it says low US investor buying pressure. It says the same thing for Korea though, and also says the same thing for ETFs. But taking a look at it, yesterday the value was just ridiculously high and today it's just relatively low. But that could also have to do with the fact that today the Bitcoin price is not doing as well as it was yesterday, right? And indeed, in comparison to Korea and the fund, well, the American/Coinbase one has been really, really high yesterday. And it also has a really, really big decline over today. So that's indeed pretty interesting to watch. It's interesting to see that the funding rate here says dominant short sentiment. And that at this point, we still have a negative funding rate. I thought we'd have actually switched over by now after such a huge amount of positivity. And that we'd have more liquidations over the last couple of hours. But I guess yesterday, during the big spike upwards, it was pretty strong. Over the last couple of hours, though, not really too much has happened. Then again, open interest, the amount of people having their positions open, has increased drastically. So I guess people are going long, but not as much as I would have anticipated, but they have some sort of position open right now, yet it's not reached the value which I would have expected it to get to. And here it says taker buy sell ratio. It's been relatively stable with selling taking the upper hand. And that brings me to the trades we talked about. So our first trade is now in full profit, completely juicy, completely out of it. It was amazing. Second trade has actually gotten more profit than I could have imagined, so also pretty amazing to watch that. Our third trade, actually this is officially the second trade, the other one was a third later trade, but you guys get it, is for some people going to be done, for some people not. And the reason I'm saying that is because we had a first take profit here at 20.4, second take profit at 21.7, and a third take profit at 22.5. The highest that the price went to right here is 22.527. But depending on exactly how high you put it, it might have been that your exit was 22.575. And this brings me back to the point, guys, make your own take profits, which are around the values that we find important. Very often I put them $100 or a little bit more than that below my take profit target because I know that the areas that I'm putting here are the major resistances. They're not the official take profit, if you guys get my drift, right? We just indicate some major resistances where a lot of price action might take place, where there's a good chance of a rejection, and that was exactly right here at 22.5. Now, ultimately, that's also where the price actually came right back down from. And that's, again, another good reason why we sell at those points, or at least try to exit some of our trade. On the short term here, though, I'm starting to look at a new bullish pennant that is actually forming, right? You guys can also see it with me here. We can actually draw little bit of a symmetrical triangle just on its own if we take it all the way back to earlier yesterday. But we can actually have another breakout in the short term here coming up, potentially towards the upside. I mean, things are looking pretty good for the price. Things are looking pretty bullish. We talked before about how the narrative is also bullish though, right? Ethereum has also perfectly hit the target earlier today. If we quickly zoom in, we could check it out. So again, we basically talked about where our first, I guess, our major take profit is going to be for Ethereum. Actually, the major take profit, because we only had one. We talked about bouncing between these two boxes, so to speak, and we actually nearly perfectly hit it. So I guess anybody who had their their take profit at where I would have specified, which is right here at 12.80, could have sold then a little bit below that. The highest it went to was 12.75. And then for XRP, I didn't actually specify any top. If I were to just be logical about it, I would have expected some resistance at right here, this little area for XRP. But we actually were facing some resistance a lot earlier, which is unexpected, but I guess it had to do with Bitcoin. Our trade, or at least our idea, was we opened a trade right, I believe this or this, I think it was actually here, but it could have been this one right here, maybe on the 3rd of July. And my only plan was to actually take it up all the way towards 34 cents and then potentially short it even again, but I did not get the chance to, as we were basically looking for a breakout when Bitcoin started to go so bullish. But so we basically got ourselves a fake out as it currently stands, or it's like I very often specify to you guys, we get the initial breakout with confirmation, a little retest of the trend line before bouncing right back up. You see this very often, guys, even in one of our earlier patterns. Would not be too crazy if we still see our initial zone hit. Here's a good example of that as well, right? We have ourselves the broadening wedge, we have ourselves the breakout, we have ourselves a retest before continuing on. As well, on the falling wedge, you can see we hit ourselves our breakout. We hit our first take profit. It came to retest yet again, as I already expected and actually predicted for you guys. Now, this little move did not happen exactly as I predicted. I would have expected another little bounce off of this 21.7, which it didn't do, but I guess all good. And then one thing you guys found interesting before was our continuation pattern, which as of this point we have I'm actually drawing. We have broken out of, but I'm still remaining dormant just a little bit, and we're going to see how today is going to end up, as there is a little bit of a room for error. I mean, obviously, if the price literally just stops right there, slightly above our previous one, I'm not going to consider that a crazy breakout of sorts, because we also had that here on 31st of May. It's going to depend on how we close. If we turn right back around, though, I'm still continuing on with my bearish thoughts, but right now, things are looking pretty juicy, as we've stated before. There's one very negative thing looming, though, guys, and I told you guys about this before, a long time ago, but right now it's getting closer and closer and closer. You can see Digital Asset Investor shared it over on his Twitter. If you are Wall Street and you are behind MountGox, this would be a great way to tank the market at the exact right time. By the way, guys, if you're looking for a crypto exchange to trade on, make sure you check the links down below for Bybit, KuCoin, Prime XPT, or whatever one you want, because there's a ton of bonus that you can just claim over on those websites. A lot of people don't know that, but there's a lot of bonuses to be gotten on those websites. And those can be completely free. It's juicy. Rand said this on Twitter: the 150,000 Bitcoin from MountGox being released into the market is a huge deal. These holders have held these since less than $500, and many of them will sell at $20,000, even if only 50% sell. I guess maybe half sell half, maybe. That is as many as Luna on the market. There is potentially double that. Bow Wow says, don't be stupid, they will sell at the right price, they won't just dump everything at lower prices. I think that's a foolish statement to make. If you've been waiting for your money for years, that you kind of already thought was going to be lost, and then all of a sudden, you realize that the money you lost is now worth 40 times as much, or maybe 50 times as much by shortly, there's a good chance that a lot of these guys are like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to sell a lot of my money to make a ton of profit, get a lot of the losses that I made over this time back, and we'll see what happens to the rest of my money. Or some will be like, you know what, I lost, let's say, $1 million, which sucked. Right now I'm getting myself, whatever, $500,000 back. But because the price increased, now I got myself $10 million. Screw waiting, I want that money right now. And there's a lot of articles about it. Now, at the end of the day, guys, a timeline for the repayment for MountGox for the big amount of Bitcoin that were lost at that point, 700,000, only 141,000 have made it kind of back again. But we don't know exactly when they're going to be given out to the market just quite yet. It was just yesterday that this was said. MountGox creditors were sent a correspondence dated July 6th by attorney Nobuaki Kobayashi, appointed trustee in the MountGox rehabilitation process, who confirmed that he was preparing to make repayments to account holders. In addition to the payment method, creditors should also choose whether to receive an early lump sum repayment or not. The document notes a timeline for repayment has not been established. The deadline for the choice and registration will be set by the rehabilitation trustee with the permission of the court, according to the correspondence. And again, the scare is going to be that because at that point, Bitcoin had a fraction of the value which it has right now, that a lot of these guys might offload it onto the markets. All right, couple other things to report on. Spanish crypto platform Together closes unexpectedly. And actually, I've been seeing a lot of articles of the sort that all kind of come back to either Celsius or Luna right now, or the fact that the crypto market is in such a bearish position. I saw a couple of companies had some crazy layoffs of staff, and here was why is $500 million in Bitcoin flooding the market as Celsius faces fraud allegations? This whole Celsius 3 Arrows Capital thing is being taken far as well. To be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure why they quit right now. It says here, after 5 years of serving in the crypto community, we're forced to close the servers of individual accounts. The lack of resources in the crypto winter prevent us from providing the service with the quality and guarantees that other nearby providers are offering. And I'm wondering exactly what's going to happen to your money. I guess you're going to get it back, but exactly how might still be a little bit of a strange thing. It says here, at this time, the money invested in this platform is impossible to redeem. And obviously, lawsuits are coming out from that, which I've already started. You can see it somewhere up here. I don't remember exactly where. If you still do not have enough funds, we will proceed to close your Together account if you don't have 20 euros to pay them for a certain fee before. It's been a strange situation, but that's really what the crypto community or market is up to right now. A lot of closes, a lot of people just having to accept it, and a lot of freaking lawsuits right now. A lot more players, I guess, are calling for regulations after all these lawsuits and after all these closures, which again can be seen as a really good thing. But also, take a look at this. Grayscale recently sued the SEC, right? But apparently, maybe after Solana got sued as well, not by the SEC, but by some other party, this is starting to come up. Grayscale removes Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Link, Uni, and DOT from the digital large cap funds. Interesting, right? Asset manager also removed Yearn Finance from the DeFi fund, and no new tokens were added to these funds. But I guess it's because they're suing the SEC and they don't want it biting them in the ass at some point or another. But why exactly they've done it? Not 1,000% sure. Maybe because it's fallen this significantly? I do not know. Oh yeah, by the way, Tether says they liquidated their Celsius loan at no loss and with very, very nice terms, they said before, to cause minimal crash for the market. More and more stuff I'm seeing about the Ripple v SEC lawsuit. Questions are being asked about, okay, so since Solana got sued right now, can that be positive for the Ripple SEC suit? And does this mean more cryptos are going to be sued eventually? So it can be positive, yes, because any person asking, what is the security is going to put some extra pressure on the Ripple v SEC case, meaning the judge has to make some quicker choice or at least go even more thoroughly as she knows the playing field is rather big. Will more crypto come, and be sued afterwards? I think so. Pretty shortly here, we're going to see a lot of losses, I guess. And SEC v Ripple, can it be, getting taken rid of or getting, outside of the court? Can it come to a settlement at any one of these points? Maybe tomorrow, maybe the day afterwards. They can come to a settlement any one of these days, and I'm all up for it, guys. I'm all up for it. Again, we covered this partially, but the SEC has sought permission to file one big omnibus motion to exclude or limit expert testimony up to 120 pages long. Ripple defendants do not object, provided that they be allowed the same page limit for their response in opposition, which is funny. It basically shows Ripple doesn't really care too much. They're confident in this. But let's skip that part. Why is $500 million in Bitcoin floating market as Celsius faces fraud allegations? Well, apparently they had paid a loan on Maker and sent half. Let's actually check it out, right? So we talked before about all their loans, which are now paid off, officially just completely done and over with at $1 billion loss, but okay. They sent $500 million worth of Bitcoin, wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum to FTX. It also faces fraud allegations with lawsuit alleging it has essentially operated as a Ponzi since March, which is possible, by the way. This is not the craziest of lawsuits, depending on exactly how they handle things in the background. I mean, obviously, if you don't have enough money to pay investors, and so you're just paying them with new investors' money, and are only allowing for deposits and not withdrawals, it's not so crazy to call you out for being a Ponzi scheme, even though the underlying tech might be there. If this is how you operate, then it's not so crazy that this was said. Data analyst Dan Ashmore has a look at these movements and whether Celsius can actually survive. Now, I still don't personally know if they can survive, nor exactly what's going to come out of this. All I am, I guess, is just confused. But the whole idea behind the lawsuit or behind what they're trying to go for right here, I don't think it's too crazy. Celsius began to offer double-digit interest rates to lure new depositors whose funds were used to repay earlier depositors. Thus, while Celsius continued to market itself as a transparent and well-capitalized business, in reality, it had become a Ponzi scheme, 1 out of 49. I'm not going to go over that, but you guys get the idea, huh? It is pretty damn crazy. So what's going to happen to the $500 million worth of Bitcoin? Maybe they're going to sell it. Maybe they're going to have to do that for their, I don't know, right? It's really vague, a really strange situation right now. But I guess all I can say about it is we'll have to see in the short term what's going to come out of this, but we'll will be updated. I'll update you guys whenever I find something. And yeah, that was it for right now. Not too many videos out today, guys. But if you're not yet, make sure you go ahead and follow me over on TikTok. And I'm also actually about to start our new giveaway. I've been building it for the last couple of days. It's going to be a pretty big one. And you can also follow me over on Instagram if you want, by the way, at TheDustyBC. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.